Good evening, my friends. It's Wednesday night. That means that it is most definitely time for Draft or Upside, our weekly show from 7 to 9. We are on the Legend Sports Network, found at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com. You can find myself, Chris, Mark, Adam, and all of our work at draftforupside.com, DRAUGHT, the number 4, and Upside, UPSIDE.com, and on Facebook at Draft for Upside, Twitter, all that good stuff. I am Johnny Danger with you each week, of course. Big score, Chris Emmerich down in Florida. How are you, my friend?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good.
Oh, I like that sound. I should join you. Oh, yeah, that's good. What did you open?
Man, I don't even know if I want to share this with you, but
I think you do. Is it a Natter Days?
No, I am drinking a Ruby Grapefruit White Claw.
Oh, man. You know that I drink Truly on a daily basis. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I finally broke down. I wanted to see, what the, I don't even know if I would call it craze, but what it was all about.
Craze is the correct word, my man. Hard seltzer is outpacing craft beer at a ridiculously alarming rate. And, it's definitely hurting my day-to-day bottom line of my brewery. And I just convinced them today to brew our own batch of hard cider. So craze is appropriate.
I don't know why you wouldn't do just some hard water. I mean, so last year around this time, I did work for a brewery last year around this time selling wine. My counterpart, the beer sales guy, when we would have the meetings with the owner and I guess the other guy who ran everything, he would say day in and day out, like we need to get into some other things. We need to do hard water. That's what it is. That's the craze. That's what we need to get into. This hard seltzer, hard water, and we need to get into better beers too. It wasn't a great brewery from the standpoint of the beers were kind of outdated. They were beers that had been brewed for the last couple of years. Nothing really had changed, and so they were kind of boring. I mean, when your flagship IPA is a English style super bitter malty IPA in the midst of this juice craze, it doesn't work. It sits on the shelves and it gets even maltier and it was gross. But I remember him saying specifically, like, let's do this hard water. It's not going to cost us like anything to brew it, and this is it. And it just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I saw that same thing that you said, where it is outpacing all craft beer combined.
It's outpacing everything right now. The wine drinkers are moving over to it. Health conscious is why I'm doing it, is just losing weight, man. I mean, it's literally 35 to 40% less calories. So there's a lot of reasons people are moving over to it. I use it as liquor mixer, even if I feel like heavier drinking a little bit and get vodka or gin or something, just add, put a splash in it. But it's refreshing. It's delicious. I've been arguing with my brewery forever because, there's 6 of us that want to go out somewhere, right? One person doesn't want beer or, hard apple cider. That group of 6 isn't coming to my brewery. So every option that we add adds that one less excuse for people to come out. So I'm all for it. Plus, to be honest, it's dirt cheap to make.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're already set up to make it. It's super cheap. It's super quick. Like, why wouldn't you have that as kind of an option? Especially, it's one of those things that I feel like and it sounds like is the case at your brewery, is your hand is forced. You have to make it at this point. You have to have it. It's almost like the hazy IPA. You almost have to have it because somebody is going to come in and look for that. That is specifically what they're coming in to look for. You need to have a sour beer now too. You need to have a couple of these staples that have trickled in over to the mainstream if you want to attract, some of these more mainstream customers.
Absolutely. That's just the way that it's going to be. Hey, beer generally always comes back around. It's readily accessible, especially with the boom of craft beer, and people get bored of trends. So I don't think hard seltzer is going away because, frankly, it's actually very good and extremely easy and cheap to make. But I think it'll come back down to earth. It's hot. It's the summertime. It'll cool back off again at some point. But I love it. I'm a big fan. It's helped me lose 33 pounds so far this year.
Yeah, but you say these crazes come back down to earth, but let's check in on some of these crazes that supposedly were just crazes, but have just had some staying power. You know, when we're talking about sour beers, you know, Gouze, Berliners, and all of these things are still prominent. And I heard that they were a fad. I heard that these
not necessarily fad. I'm just saying that though it'll come back down to its growth spurt and find its place. Because the New England IPAs, you know, they were super crazy craze. They're definitely around, but it's not all the news of craft beer anymore. So you know they don't go away, but it comes back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, well, I will tell you, I drank 11 of them last night, so I think I kind of offset the lack of calories in it. You consumed enough of them to exceed that. Albeit, if I had consumed 11 beers, I would have had even more calories. But you know, I think I like the raspberry and the black cherry. I'm not the ruby grapefruit, the lemon lime. I want something a little bit you know, stronger flavor wise for that you know, for that flavored water.
Sure, yeah. The Truly, they have like a tropical mix pack, which is really good. So that's my jam for that one. So I am drinking a deflowered New England IPA from Witch's Hat Brewing Company, South Lyon, Michigan. I wish they paid me to say that, which I guess they kind of do, right?
They pay you, but not to say that.
I actually might have another brewery willing to sponsor the show, so we'll see how they feel about me pimping another brewery. I'm going to have to get them to be official sponsors at some point, huh?
There you go.
Yeah, I talked to a couple of groups today about sponsoring the upcoming football season of the show, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Got to get this new website up and running so we can show people how cool we are.
Yes, we do.
So you passed along something on Twitter. Why don't you take us on a rabbit hole ride?
Well, I saw this today, and there was this director of human services or something along that line, a public official, 66-year-old, you know, white hair, standard white guy from Iowa, and he was fired from his position. They believe it's because of his rabid Tupac fandom. That he would put out inspirational quotes based off of Tupac quotes and lyrics, like from Changes. He had Thug Life cookies at his 65th birthday party, and I think he had over like 4,000 emails that referenced Tupac in some way, and he would listen to Tupac music on Fridays and have Tupac Fridays. I mean, this guy is the hero we all needed. Especially, you know, in a tumultuous time in public service and what's going on in politics. If we could have a guy that, you know, reaches across the aisle and grabs a Tupac CD and starts blasting it, I mean, that's I don't even know what to say. I mean, this is a guy I would vote for regardless of anything else. I'd be like, this guy's grounded. You know, he understands. Like, you know, I spent many a days listening to Tupac and you know, teenage angst and you know, thugging out and doing what I got to do, and this guy gets it. So, like, he gets me.
Yeah, man, I love it. You know, we have a soft spot in our hearts at Witch's Hat for these deceased rappers. We have a whole series of beers. We have a Doppelbock entitled Tupac Shakira Nator that comes out once a year.
Oh yeah, what other ones do you have?
MC Azon. That one was a good one. MC Azon. Currently and on draft at the brewery is Figgy Smalls, which is a 12% Belgian quad aged on figs, which is delicious. We've done Easy ESB. We've done DM Export Stout. Of course, he's not dead, but close enough. Yeah, what else did we do? When Lemmy passed away, we had a extreme tart cherry sour saison called Everything Louder Than Everything Else.
Do you have one, you know, honoring one of the greats, Big L?
You know, we don't, but we should work on that, huh?
I think that's what you need to take to him tomorrow.
That's right. So, yeah, man. So you've been doing a lot of best ball, mostly second half baseball or NFL, or both?
No, I did a couple of the baseball ones last week. I have a variety of different results going on. My teams are in first, fifth, and 10th out of 10. So I'm just kind of watching this, and it's only 1 week, but let's take a look here at some of the guys that we talked about last week. So on my team that's in fifth place, currently about 120 points away from first. With 510 points here. This team is struggling, but it's got Yu Darvish, who's doing fantastic. I need another start from Bieber and Boyd, but my infield, Matt Chapman, went down with an ankle injury today. He was leading my infielders, McNeil, Freeman, Betts, Conforto, Meadows. So my outfielders weren't doing so well, but I do have this other team. This team has 619 points. It's in first place in its group. Again, that Yu Darvish pick was huge. Shane Bieber is in most of my teams because I got him at a good value. Then you got John Lester, but it's got Max Muncy, who's just been crushing the ball out in Philadelphia, just hitting home runs there off of all of their pitchers. Gabe Kapler's getting kicked out of every game. A lot of ridiculousness going on out there. Matt Chapman's on that team along with Jeff McNeil. But I also had Christian Yelich, and I stole Whit Merrifield and Jorge Soler, who've had a fantastic second half so far. Through 5 games, Soler's got 2 home runs, 6 runs scored, 5 RBIs. I mean, it's absurd. He's been walked 5 times too. My bench ain't doing so well, but Marcus Semien right there at 50 points. That was a big guy that I touted last week, and where I was getting him, I'm really happy at 50 points. How's your second half team doing? You had Juxon Profar, right?
Sure do.
Did you play him today?
Yeah, guess who's on the bench today?
Who's on the bench?
Yeah, Jurickson Profar.
Oh, man, he had like a career game, too.
Yep. I had some things I was dealing with, which I shared with you guys earlier, so I did not have a chance to do the final lockdown of my lineups and just looked, and Nomar is on the bench, and in my active lineup, he's not playing today, and Jurickson is in the active lineup with 2 home runs and sitting on my bench. Luckily, I am up 7-3 against the lovely Andrea Lamont, so doing all right. It's fine. I think we put together a good team. So if any of the other people in the league are listening, I believe Cha-Cha is actually listening live right now, and George appears to be here. I don't know if George was in the league. I can't remember if George made the league or not, but Cha-Cha's here. Chris actually helped me draft. We were doing the live broadcast for the first hour, and he helped me out with that team. So I'm pretty happy with it. So we ended up with Mitch Garver, who also has a home run today, who's been absolutely lights out for the last 45 days or so. Just killing it.
I mean, all season, the only thing that you run into with him is that they
have like 4 catchers on their lineup.
Well, and they're all mashing. Castro's mashing, Garver's mashing, so they pretty much rotate back and forth. Stilio, it's hard to say his name, but he's on the IL, or the DL, as I like to call it, the disabled list, taking it back. Another thing that we avoided the pitfall of going Trout or Bellinger. Well, Bellinger would have been fine, but Yelich was indeed a solid number 1 pick. It was a no-brainer. You were worried about the back a little bit. I'm glad I was able to get you away from that, and certainly I'm glad that we didn't have the number 3 pick and pick up Max Scherzer.
Oh, is something happened to Mr. Max? I wouldn't know. I traded him off every team I had before the All-Star break.
He went to the disabled list, 10-day back issues.
I see. Yeah, I had him in, I think, 4 out of 4 seasonal leagues this year, and I traded him in every league.